Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaint about them not understanding me. Life has its own hidden forces, which you can only discover by living. Once you label me, you negate me. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. What if everything in the world were a misunderstanding? What if laughter were really tears? Knowledge is a wealth that cannot be stolen. The tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule begins. My sorrow is my castle. Far from idleness being the root of all evil, it is rather the only true good. To dare, to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. Many of us pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that we hurry past it. On the secretly blushing cheek, it's reflected the glow of the heart. It is so hard to believe because it is so hard to obey. It is impossible to exist without passion. Boredom is the root of all evil, the despairing refusal to be oneself. The self-assured believer is a greater sinner in the eyes of God than the troubled disbeliever. Leap of faith, yes, but only after reflection. Why bother remembering a past that cannot be made into a present? The only intelligent tactical response to life's horror is to laugh defiantly at it. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. It is very important in life to know when your cue comes. Take away the paradox from the thinker, and you have a professor. If you don't have many friends, that means you have a lot of life experience. A no does not hide anything, but a yes very easily becomes a deception. If you want to be loathsome to God, just run with the herd. Once you are born in this world, you're old enough to die. Hope is a passion for the possible. Cultivate the will. This is the armor that preserves the mind. Therefore, do not deceive yourself. Of all deceivers, fear most yourself. To be human is not a fact, but a task. My standpoint is armed neutrality. To be lost in spiritlessness is the most terrible thing of all. What is youth? A dream. What is love? The dream's content. Don't forget to love yourself. It is better to get lost in the passion than to lose the passion. Whoever has learned to be anxious in the right way has learned the ultimate. I would rather be a swineherd understood by the swine than a poet misunderstood by men. People settle for a level of despair they can tolerate and call it happiness. Sleeping is the height of genius. For it is not what happens to me that makes me great, but it is what I do. Faith is the highest passion in a man. Life has become a bitter drink to me, and yet it must be taken in drops, counted one by one. The best response to criticism is to smile and forget. Be that self that one is. Faith begins precisely where thinking leaves off. I opened my eyes and saw the real world, and I began to laugh, and I haven't stopped since. What distinguishes all love from lust is the fact that it bears an impression of eternity. The highest, after all, is not to comprehend the highest, but to do it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You become what you understand.